What is up, guys? I'm gonna keep this one pretty short, and I'm gonna go over a brief explanation on how Joe Rogan got a $14 million mansion for free. And I know President Trump just recently got into something where it was like a $750 tax return or whatever the fiasco was. I wanna go over how Joe Rogan got a $14 million mansion for free and what was his true reason behind actually leaving California and going over to Texas. And before you guys take this as any hate at all, just keep in mind, I do love Joe Rogan. I think he just seems like a super authentic guy. He seems like he's down to earth. I love his content. I love his podcast. I love his commentary in UFC. So none of this is meant as hate. And it's definitely not one of those situations where I'm saying, look at this evil 1%er, look at this evil rich man. Because if you know my channel at all, you know that is absolutely not the case. If anything, if you are one of those people where you hate the 1%, you hate money and you hate wealth, this is the wrong channel. You came to the wrong side of YouTube. This is not going to be for you. And the best part of all, this is all something that you guys can of course take advantage of as well. Of course, just on a smaller scale. This is all already in the tax code. You guys should be taking advantage of this today, immediately. You guys need to be taking advantage of all these principles. And I know a lot of these channels drag on the final point until the very end and they kind of make a really brief explanation at the very end. I don't want to do that to you guys, and I hate when people do that to me. So the bottom line is Joe Rogan got a mansion for free because he moved from California down to Texas, and just using the tax savings from there, he actually got a free mansion. But I do want to explain in depth on how you guys can actually apply this, how you guys can actually do this from your own state, and what kind of principles you guys can actually take away from it as well, and how Joe Rogan exactly pulled this off. So if you want to stick around till the very end of the video, I'm going to explain all of this in depth, guys, for you. So grab a beer and enjoy. Let's break this shit down. So everybody already knows Joe Rogan. I don't need to get into that at all, and I'm sure you guys only clicked on this video because you saw his name. But essentially, I'm sure you could tell just from his recent podcast, Joe Rogan has been growing pretty unhappy with California lately, and I can't really blame him. And I'm sure you've seen quite a bit of other YouTubers growing pretty unhappy with California, mainly because of the homelessness issues. It's getting gross and disgusting. The tax code, I mean, it's just poorly run in general. But I think all of those issues combined, I think California is still tolerable overall. The biggest kicker is going to be the actual tax system. So here's how Joe Rogan's income breaks down and how he's actually going to save this money, pull it off legally, and how you guys can do it as well. So Joe Rogan recently signed a deal that was worth $100 million with Spotify, and I'm sure right around that time he started mentioning Austin and Texas. It's pretty fucking convenient, but a lot of that is actually stemming from he must have actually calculated how much he was going to actually be spending on taxes. So let me break it all down for you, and I'll explain on how you guys can do this on a smaller level. So Joe Rogan is set to make about $100 million from the Spotify deal. On top of that, I'm sure he makes easily anywhere between $5 to $10 million from his podcast alone. And then I'm sure he also makes anywhere between, let's call it 500,000 to about 2 million as far as on the UFC commentator analyst side of it as well. And now let's just go ahead and safely call all of that combined $115 million. So California has a 13% state income tax currently, and they're already planning on actually increasing it north of 16%. And when you actually compare that over to Texas, Texas has a 0% state income tax. And I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, the property taxes are pretty high in Texas or whatever the case may be as well, but none of that actually compares to how much Joe Rogan would have spent in California by paying the state income taxes. Just by staying in California alone, Joe Rogan would have paid north of $14.9 million. So he's a genius. I actually love what he did. He goes on his podcast and he's talking about the homelessness issue. He did bring up the taxes. He's a pretty transparent guy. The safety issues is just poorly run. He's just unhappy. It's overpopulated. He starts talking about Texas, which is just very conveniently 0% state tax. So long story short, he goes from California out to Texas, saves $14.9 million in taxes, and uses that to actually buy himself a $14.4 million mansion. And before I show you guys on a smaller scale on how you guys can do this yourselves, I'm going to challenge my editor. I'm going to see if she can actually find Joe Rogan's house and actually see if she can find any photos in the interior, any photos of the exterior. So let's see, Kathleen, I'm going to call you out here. Let's see if you can find any photos inside, just in case if anybody is curious. But anyway, here's how you guys can actually do this on a smaller scale depending on where you live, especially if you live right now in a higher income tax state. This is how you guys can do it as well. Guys, just really quick, all I really ask is really quickly, just subscribe and like. Like I said, I never sell any courses, masterminds, or any of that garbage. Just please subscribe and like, and if you really do enjoy the video, please share to somebody as well if the conversation comes up. I really do appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the rest of the video. So assuming right now you're making about $100,000 a year and you're paying 7% state income tax, that all breaks down to about $7,000 per year. And now this is where you guys can actually get pretty creative with your financial situation and get pretty creative with your living situation. So what you can do is you simply calculate that out, calculate $7,000 per year, and see exactly what that would afford you on a mortgage. Chances are $7,000 a year, that's going to break down to anywhere between another $100,000 to about $250,000 on an actual home itself. Now, if you would actually move and actually keep your income, let's say you move from California, somehow find a way to keep your $100,000 a year income, move to Texas, move to Nevada, move to Florida, wherever the state income tax is going to be a lot lower. If you guys can actually somehow find a way to pivot yourselves and actually find a way to keep your income and actually find yourself a better living situation, you can have another $100,000 to $200,000 on a mortgage completely for free, essentially, because now you're not paying that estate income tax. You can throw that into a mortgage, deduct a lot of taxes from that as well. You're paying down a debt, and on top of that, you're gaining principal. And then a lot of times you're actually living in a better scenario just because the homes are a lot bigger there, the living expenses are cheaper. So just do calculate that out for yourselves. See how much your business is doing, see how much you would actually make if you could actually relocate in any part of the country, and see what you guys would actually save. It might only take you about 30 minutes, 45 minutes to actually do the math and actually go on Redfin, calculate how much you could save, what kind of home you guys could actually get. But you guys could absolutely do this. And I'm still in the process of convincing my girlfriend to actually move out to another state like Texas or Nevada or Florida in the future, just to make sure that we're doing the same exact thing. Thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, subscribing. It actually means the world to me. Like I said, I'm never gonna charge you guys courses for anything that I teach, anything that I show. I just wanna provide you guys value, and the way you guys pay your fee is by liking, subscribing, and just commenting. So thank you guys again so much. Hopefully, at least some of these videos gives you guys some more ideas on how you can be creative within your own entrepreneurial journey and find out ways you guys can actually make it work for yourselves. So thank you guys again so much. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. See you guys. Over to Texas. I'm gonna wait for the alarms to go back here. If we could keep all that in as well. The alarm's still going on. Jesus Christ.